This video is a brief introduction to the ProMod application framework. In this instance, we're going to be going through the Whole Child connection for Martin County, Florida. What we're going to do is walk through the system as if we were a family completing a profile and familiarize you with the capabilities of the system. Let's get started. The system uses a very clean and simple interface. Users are invited to alternate between English and Spanish. The system can actually support any number of languages and is very easy to update. Users may also return back to their previous profile if they've already completed one, but let's assume that we're a new family looking for services, so we'll click here to complete a Whole Child profile. As you can see, the Whole Child profile consists of a series of questions. In this case, only yes or no questions are provided, although the system does offer many different types of questions, such as fill in the blank, memo response, and also a Likert scale with a 1 through 5. Looking at the first question, do you have health insurance Medicaid for your children? We're going to go ahead and put no, which would be a problem response. These are the type of responses that would suggest that this family perhaps isn't receiving all the services they would need. I'm going to go through and select some responses to a few more of these. Not every question has to be responded to. It's completely up to the discretion of the community, both what the questions are, how they link to services, and whether or not families are required to complete all of the questions. Once we've responded to a few of these, the family arrives at the demographics section of the profile. This is where we gather a little bit of information about the family. In this case, only a few fields are required. The employment status, which I'll enter, the date of birth of at least one child, which I'll also enter, the zip code is required, and finally the family income is also required. The reason so few data points are required in the demographics section, the designers of the system wanted to keep anonymity as an option for families completing the profile. But if a family does want to provide additional information, such as a first and a last name, it will also be saved with the profile, and then service providers can use this information to assist the family. Another thing that the family can do is enter a username and password at the bottom of the page here. In this case, the username and a password serves two purposes, which we'll look at later. I'm going to go ahead and complete the profile and hit submit. This is the Whole Child profile analysis page. Based on the family's responses to the previously shown Whole Child profile, this page will then provide the family with a list of services that they may or may not be interested in seeing more information about. On the left-hand column in this page, you can see a list of the services, and on the right, there's an explanation for each service. The purpose of this explanation is to help a family make an informed decision about whether or not they would like to pursue receiving these services from their community. When a family has finished reviewing the services and descriptions on this page, they're encouraged to select providers that they'd like to see more information about. In this instance, I'm going to select adult health, child health, dentists, and immunizations. When a family has finished their selections, they can print the Whole Child profile analysis to keep a copy of for their personal records, or click the button at the bottom of the page to display some provider details. It's important to note that the family may move forward and backward through this process, including all the way back to the profile and changing their responses, as many times as they'd like to receive the information they need. Let's move on. The provider details page is the next page that a family will see. Based on the services that the family selected previously, the provider details will now list all the providers in the community that can provide these services to the family. Providers are grouped by the services they offer. For example, as you can see here, these are adult health service providers. If we scroll down farther on the page, we'll see the child health service providers as well. Let's start with the adult. The first provider listed is the Mom Care program. You can click on a program name, such as the Mom Care program, to produce a single one-page printable list of all the information about this provider. This makes it very easy for families that are shopping for resources in their community to get all the critical information on a provider and print it out so they can have a single sheet to carry with them. By clicking on the address, this will produce a map to the provider. And if the family is willing to do so, they can enter their home address and even receive directions to drive to the provider. The other information displayed here is the general information about a provider, such as their phone number, their address, a publicly available email address so they could contact the provider via email if they choose. In some cases, a provider may have a website. There are also two options over here on the right-hand side of the page. The first one says, I would like to notify this provider that I am interested in receiving services. I authorize this provider to view my whole child profile and plan. When a family clicks this checkbox, a service request is generated and sent to the provider. We'll talk more about this later. The second option, I would like to add this provider to my personal whole child plan, but I do not wish to release my information, simply adds this provider to a plan. We'll also see that in a moment. We'll talk a little bit more about the differences between the two of these later, but one of them notifies a provider and allows a provider and a family to attempt to get in touch with each other. The other one simply adds the provider to a list of services that a family would like to keep track of. I'm going to arbitrarily select a few more of these for demonstration purposes, and then come down to the bottom of the page and press the Submit button to proceed. Again, you can print this page if the family would like to keep a hard copy record of their transaction. This is the whole child plan. When a family is finished selecting programs that they would like to receive more information about, the ProMod system creates a whole child plan document. This is a summary of all the services and service providers and programs that a family is either actively seeking to get in contact with or simply would like to save the information about in a single location. Having the whole child plan online means a family can access their plan from any connected resource, or they could print it out and use it as a hard copy. As you can see, each one of the programs is grouped by the service that they provide, then by the program name. Full program descriptions, hours of operation, website, email, and all the critical information that a family would need to receive services from this provider are listed for each provider. If a provider has information that changes, such as their phone number or hours of operation, these documents will be automatically updated. I'll also point out that you can see which providers the family only wanted to add to their plan for information, as denoted by the Wanted Information Only tag, and you can also see the providers that the family has agreed to automatically get in contact with via service request. These are denoted by the Service Requested tag. Remember that a family may move all the way back to the profile and all the way back to the whole child plan as many times as they'd like to select all the providers they would like to receive information about. For example, a family could return to the whole child profile analysis and actually change some of their services that they'd like to receive information about and select alternate providers. Let's quickly deselect the providers that we saw a few moments ago, and let's add perhaps a housing service provider. Now, as you can see, we're only seeing the services available for housing. I'm going to add residential services and let them know that I'd like to get in contact with them and create a service request, and then proceed back to my whole child plan. And as you can see, residential services has been added. When a family has finished this, they proceed on to next steps. When a family has completed their whole child plan, they're finally taken to the next steps page. This page provides information to families when they have finished the whole child profile process. It explains what the expectations of a family are and what they should expect from the providers they've interacted with through the system. It also provides best practice information and general tips to help families get the most out of their ProMod or whole child experience. This page also contains a user satisfaction survey. This survey is completely optional, but allows the community to gather ongoing information about the satisfaction that the community has with the system. When a family has completed this, they press the Submit button, are taken to a thank you page. A family would simply return to the same web page that they were at when they completed the profile the first time. They would then click on the Returning Visitor button and enter the username and password that they provided when they completed their whole child profile. They will then be taken to the Welcome Back page. From here, a family can return to their whole child profile